Hello, everybody. Welcome to the last 2022 mock draft. Now, I know some of you are here for the ASMR aspect, and let me tell you, if you're here for my voice and you like the sound of my voice, you are in the right spot, in the right video. If you are looking for triggers, I recommend you go to my channel. Go ahead and check that out. I have many videos. I have something that'll satisfy your cravings, your urges, anything. I got what you need on my channel or right here. And if what you're looking for is a guy to ramble about a mock draft prediction and or stipulations of the 2022 NFL draft, you're in the right spot. You wonderful decision. Welcome. We're going to be talking about the 2022 NFL draft. We're doing a mock draft, and there's going to be trades, and if you're looking for one without trades, you can find that a few days back on my channel. But if we are doing a full draft where I'm trying to predict the whole thing, I do have trades, and I'm starting the draft off hot with a trade. I'm getting semi-ballsy with predicting some history being made, and the fact that I'm predicting a cornerback be selected first overall. I'm having the Jets trade up to number 1 overall. I'm sorry if I'm looking at you, but hello again. You and me. I have the Jets trading up to the first overall spot. And taking Sauce Gardner. Please bear with me with the outside noise. I hope it's not unbearable. Now, it should be Aiden Hutchinson, it could be Trevon Walker, and it could be a tackle. It could be Ike Ekwonu, but it also could be Evan Neal, because it seems like the logical pick. They said they're picking between four players, and I'm pretty sure it's Ike Ekwonu, Evan Neal, and then Trevon Walker and Hutchinson. That's for the Jaguars. However, for the Jets, I feel like they're picking between a slightly more limited selection. Sure, they could go for an edge, but I feel like they really want a corner. I don't know why, but I feel like they really want a corner, and I feel like they know the Texans are also in the market for a corner, probably because their shot at getting A.J. Terrell from the Falcons. And I think the Jets are going to see that the Texans are going to do that. And to ensure that they get their guy, they're going to move up 3 spots and get Sauce Gardner at first overall. Move back 3 spots, that's not that much. The Jags are still 100% chance at getting one of the guys that they're considering getting at 4, no matter what. With that scenario, so they wouldn't have to give up that much to make that reality. The Jets being. So I'm making that my first overall selection. The Jets selecting cornerback Sauce Gardner from Cincinnati. Moving on to pick 2, we have the Lions. The Lions could do a number of things, many things. Excuse me, I have a frog in my throat now suddenly. They have needs. They could go corner here. They could go best edge. They could go tackle. They shouldn't go tackle because they have a great left tackle, and they just drafted a tackle last year who's doing well outright. And they shouldn't draft a tackle just to put him at guard in the first 5 picks. That's a bit stupid. So they could take a corner. They could take edge, or they could take a quarterback. Quarterback makes sense if they like somebody this high. Or if the guy who's number 1 on their board, which I think in my opinion is Hutchinson, is there, so they're going to take Hutch. Even if Willis is there, they're going to take Hutch at 2 if Hutch is there. So they're going to take Aiden Hutchinson, Michigan defensive end. Apparently there's talks that the Jags aren't interested in Hutchinson as much because he's a product of John Harbaugh. And apparently Balky, the GM, does not like John Harbaugh. But his only knock, as a player, is that he's got shorter arms than most. But even then, it's not awful. He's a player that has good initial step, and he's also good with hand fighting. So he's not really doomed if he isn't if he can't keep them away from his body. You know what I mean? He's fine. He can do that in other ways. So I think he goes here number 2 to the Lions. Moving on to pick 3, I think the Texans wanted their guy at Sauce Gardner at 3, but he's not there. So they're gonna look at D-line, and they're gonna look around. They're gonna see like, oh, we have our choice of number 1 tackle of our opinion. We have our choice of potentially number 2 defensive end. And I really, really, for a long time, had considered them taking Thibodeau at this pick. I had Thibodeau written down for a long time. At this pick, at pick 3. I eventually decided to change it to Derek Stingley. It's either Stingley or Stingley. Whatever. He's going to be a good cornerback as long as he can stay healthy, which he should be able to. I think he's been flying up draft boards. He was supposed to go relatively high anyway. I think the Texans' current head coach, Lovie Smith, I ended up looking up to see his positional history as a coach, to see if he's been in any defensive line coach or if he's been a secondary coach. He's been a secondary coach multiple times. I also feel like he happened to have been a player at one point. I'm not 100% on that. I probably should have double-checked that one. But he was also a linebackers coach. Now, I don't know if that means edge rushers as well. I don't think it does. I really don't think it does. So that made me, shift from Thibodeau to Stingley, because, there's going to be edge players. They have picks. There's going to be edge players. But there's not going to be that many corners. Which is exactly why I have Sauce going 1, Sauce going and Stingley going 3, because there's not going to be that many corners. There's other corners in the first round that could be good, yeah, but then there's a sharp drop off after 1 and 2. With edge, there's a sharp drop off after 4, and then even then it's not that much that sharp as it is with corners. And same thing goes with tackles, and even receivers. There's just a bunch at the front. So cornerback are the most with talent disparity as a whole, I guess I should say, which is why I think that they are going to be picks 1 and 3, which I think would be history. I know pick 1 would be going pick 1 overall is history, but I don't know about pick 3. I'm pretty sure Deion Sanders went pick 5. Jeff Okudah, I think, went pick 3 recently. Denzel Ward was a high pick as well, maybe 3, maybe 2. There's some decent corners that are picked high, but there's also some bad corners that are picked high. I think both of these guys are going to end up fine. I have a lot of confidence in Sauce. So the Texans get Stingley to give them an alpha corner that they can just worry about shutting down one side and then worry about from there on. I feel like that's what Lovie Smith wants. Moving on to pick 4, we have formerly the Jets and now the Jags, because the Jags traded back with the Jets. And the Jags look at the board and they go, oh, well, Hutch is gone, the guy who kind of wanted a defensive end. The other defensive end's still there. And then both the tackles we wanted are still there. So we lost one guy. We had one process of elimination and then gained whatever picks back. And I think they're going to look at it and be like, let's just take Walker. Let's take the other guy. Because one of the ends is already gone. Let's just go ahead and take it, see if they can make an uber athletic edge group with him and Josh Allen, the defensive end. So they're going to take Trevon Walker, the defensive end from Georgia, who tested out of the absolute wazoo at the combine. Jags take Trevon Walker. He can also be moved inside, but he's athletic and big enough. He could end up being Aaron Donald. But it's the Jags, so let's find out if that works. But even then, reality, whatever. I'm predicting Trevon Walker to the Jags at 4 after a trade back. Moving on to pick 5, we have the Giants trading back. The Giants have publicly said they are willing to trade back for the right price. I feel like the right price drastically gets reduced if you are another team in the top 10. So I'm looking at teams that could be calling up to pick 5. And there's not a whole lot, because pick 5 is a premium spot, and you have to pay a premium amount to do that. And what would they trade up for? Who somebody who's falling, or a quarterback. Who's falling right now? All right, well, there's 2 players that are falling right now in my scenario that aren't quarterbacks. Both quarterbacks have not been taken. Ikea Evan Neal. I lied, there's 3 players. Ikea Evan Neal, and Thibodeau. Those are the 3 players that are, I can't speak words right now. Those are the 3 players that have fallen to pick 5 that are available. So if somebody could trade up to pick 5 and take one of those guys. Now, it'd be kind of expensive to do so. I don't think the Cowboys can pull it off, especially because it's inside division. They're lucky they got the Eagles convinced to do it last year and bit the Eagles in the butt because they let them get Micah Parsons. But the Giants are going to take a trade call from a team that has a fair amount of picks. It's going to be the Seattle Seahawks. They're going to take the Seattle Seahawks peg trade. They're going to move back to pick 9. So the Giants are going to have... So they're going to move from picks 5 and 7 to picks 7 and 9. So the Seahawks have traded to pick 5. And I'll be real with you. I'll be very real with you. A little secret time. I had them going Kenny Pickett. Yeah, I know. It still might happen. Very, very, very well might happen. You're going to have me mention a few different scenarios in a little bit, and those really depend on the quarterbacks by a lot. Like, the quarterback could go here at 5. If someone wants to get ahead of Carolina to make sure they get Pickett, or even Willis, this is the main spot to do it. Because the Lions are like debating on doing it, but even then, even if they do want Willis, I still feel like they have Hutch rated above Willis. So if Hutch is available, like he is in my scenario, I don't think they take Willis, even if they do like him a lot. I don't think. The more I thought about the Seahawks, the more I was like trying to think like how they were built, how they were are as a team, how Pete Carroll was just stuck in his ways. He doesn't hate the quarterback position. He really doesn't. He's like, I think so. Wouldn't it shock me to have them take Pickett here? I had Pickett down written for a while until I changed it. They like pass rush. They really do. They had a good pass rush. They've shown the history of investing in the pass rush in the first round. They're gonna take the guy who's falling, and it's gonna be Kayvon Thibodeau, and he is Oregon product. That's a state away. Am I having a? No, I'm good. No, I'm good. They're gonna take Kayvon Thibodeau at pick 9. Sorry, at pick 5. They're gonna trade up to do so. And then moving on to pick 6, we have the Panthers. Now they have a multitude of options here. They could go Kenny Pickett because Kenny Pickett's still available. No team has traded up ahead of them to take Kenny Pickett, so Kenny Pickett is still on the board for them potentially. Potentially, Kenny Pickett could be a Carolina Panther here at pick 6. Now the real test, in my opinion, for if, or not test, but a real differentiator for if the Panthers are going to be the ones, if the Panthers are going to be the ones who draft Kenny Pickett at 6 or not. Was Matt Rule, the head coach, responsible for acquiring Sam Darnold? Did Matt Rule be like, hey, I need this guy. I don't care if we lose our 2nd and 3rd round picks next year. I need this guy. If Matt Rule is responsible for that, do not give him pick of the quarterback here, and I don't think he will. However, if the GM is the one who acquired Sam Darnold and Matt Rule hasn't had a shot at his quarterback, I think he's going to take a shot at his quarterback before his tenure with Carolina is done. So he's going to draft Kenny Pickett if he's not the reason they acquired Rule. If he is, they're not going to draft Kenny Pickett because that would mean that their 6th overall pick and their 6th overall pick in round 1, their second round pick. I can't say words right now. You can see I'm struggling. and their third round pick would all be invested in the quarterback position under 2 players. Not the best call. I'm gonna trim this down. It's getting a little thick again. I'm gonna trim that down a little bit. So, and also, I feel like they're super likely to trade back. The thing that I think is most dependent on it is that if they get a decent offer, and somebody in general calling, because apparently there's a bunch of teams that are wanting to trade back, but not many that are wanting to trade up. It's going to take a player falling. Like, for instance, Thibodeau. I'll be honest, in my mock draft I had, in the edition of this mock draft I had prior, I had Stingley falling all the way to pick, I'll tell you in a minute when we get there. I'll tell you where he was supposed to be, and it's the same team that traded that spot, actually. I think there's equal value at both spots, but regardless. Seahawks trade up to pick 5 to take Kayvon Thibodeau, defensive end. He's a bit of a different personality, and that's probably exactly what Pete Carroll's used to. So Thibodeau's a Seahawk. Moving on. I already said that. I'm so silly, guys. I'm so sorry. Please bear with me. I've been trying to record this video for a hot minute and have not been able to, and now I am forcing myself to be able to do it because this is the one time I seem to be able to. So please bear with me. We're at pick 6, and we have the Panthers, and they are going to get a phone call from a certain team that's also picking in the teens, that's not that far away, and has an excess of 2nd and 3rd round picks. Like, hey, we'll give you one of each of these if you let us move up these spots. That sounds like a deal in my opinion. 2nd and 3rd rounder to move up from pick 13 to pick 6, seven spots. That's maybe a little. Maybe they have to give up another 2nd rounder next year or something like that. But like, the Texans are the team. The Texans are trading back up to pick 6 to take the first tackle off the board. Somebody they considered at pick 3. That's Evan Neal. That's the first tackle off the board. They know the Giants want to tackle, and the Giants are about to pick next, so that's why they went ahead and pulled that trigger, and that would mean the Texans have pick 3 and pick 6. They have an excess amount of picks, and they are in rebuilding mode, but why not go ahead and try and get 2 stars? It makes sense for a team that was willing to trade more stars away. So take Evan Neal at pick 6. Moving on to pick 7, we have the Giants with their second pick in the draft, but it's going to be their first back because of a trade back. So with their first pick, the Giants at pick 7 are going to take the best tackle available, and I don't know if they prefer Evan Neal or Ike Ukonu, but I have a feeling they actually prefer what's his face, Charles Cross, not as a not so distant third, so they'll be satisfied with any of those edge. So it's very possible that the Giants just don't have a trade partner, or they don't get an offer they like from Seattle, or they don't get an offer they like, period. So they stick at 5, and if they stick at 5, I think they take Thibodeau. I think it's fairly simple, but if they trade back, then the Seahawks are going to take Thibodeau. I think it all depends on what the Giants are going to receive that makes it worth it to not take Thibodeau in their eyes. Might be a lot, might be a little. It depends on the Seahawks. But with their second pick, with their first pick, the Giants are going to take Ike Ukonu, the tackle from North Carolina State. They can immediately put him at right tackle, and then they suddenly have a decent left tackle and a decent right tackle, hopefully at least. And then the guards are not atrocious, so suddenly their offensive line doesn't look horrendous anymore for the first time in a hot minute. And then you get the quarterback time, and you can find out if he's actually worth keeping or not. And I feel like that's the goal. I feel like they're one of those teams that are kind of punting on a quarterback this year unless they fall into a spot they like. Especially because they have Daniel Jones on the roster for one more year. and they have to make, oh, that's something like that. So they have to choose his 5th-year option soon, and I think they have to decide at the end of this year for that. I'm not 100%. I saw something recently, but it's not at the forefront of my mind, so I can't quote it specifically or correctly. Moving on to pick 8, we have the Falcons here, and we had the Falcons trading back to pick 12 with the Vikings for Derek Stingley here. However, Derek Stingley went at pick 3 overall, so Derek Stingley is not available to be picked by the Vikings. However, if he is still available at pick 8, or even Thibodeau is still available at pick 8, I could see the Vikings being one of the teams that try to trade up to pick 8. Yeah, that's a premium player, and it's a sort of a new regime. Might as well go ahead and get that little splash you want. And in this scenario, instead of it being Thibodeau or Stingley, they're going to look elsewhere at the most important position in sports, and it's quarterback. I don't think they're sold on Kirk Cousins, or at least the new regime isn't. Sure, they gave him a new contract extension, but what's stopping them from shipping him next year? Like, what's stopping them from drafting a quarterback this year, playing Kirk until the end of it, and then trying out Pickett, and then if he doesn't look horrendous, then all of a sudden you can trade Kirk in the offseason and get at the very least a 3rd, 4th round pick, if you're not going to get swindled at least. And it seems to be the trend the past, at least this offseason, to trade a quarterback for a decent bit. That happened this past year. A lot this past year, happened the year before that, so I think it might happen again with the Vikings taking Kenny Pickett at pick 8. Like I said, I originally had them taking Stingley here at pick 8, but Stingley's not available, Tibbs is not available, but Pickett is, and I feel like all 3 of those guys are kind of on their board to trade up for him. And getting to pick 8, that's moving up 4 spots. I feel like that's not too much of a leap for them to pull, because you have to have ammunition to pull off big leaps, and they don't really have ammunition per se, but they're not lacking. They're just a standard amount of team, but it's a new regime, so I expect some sort of move. I don't expect them to stand pat at 12. They might, but I don't expect them to. I feel like they're more likely to draft at pick 12 than they are to trade back, but I also expect them to trade up. Moving on to pick 9. Moving on to pick 9, we have the Seattle Seahawks trading the pick to the New York Giants. Now, if the New York Giants don't trade with the Seattle Seahawks and take Thibodeau at pick 5, that means the Seahawks are at pick 9 still, and that means if Thibodeau is gone and they're at pick 9, they're gonna take Willis. They're gonna take Willis at pick 9. That or running back Seahawks. But since that's not what happened in our scenario, it's going to be the Seahawks trading to the Giants at pick 9, and then the Giants getting a phone call again to trade back with the Steelers at pick 20. So the Steelers are going to trade up to pick 9. Wonder what for? Yeah, it's going to be for Malik Willis. Malik Willis getting drafted by the Steelers at pick 9 after the pick had been traded from the Broncos to the Seahawks to the Giants to the Steelers. I'm getting real bold with my predictions now, and let me tell you, if any of these are right, I'm gonna feel so smart, and when all of them are wrong, I'm gonna be laughing so hard. And I hope you're laughing with me. I really do. But I also hope that we're all like, wow, what a Nostradamus. If you'd like, I haven't tweeted any. Actually, I'm not gonna tell you what it is yet. I'm starting a sports take Twitter. You don't. There's no tweets out yet. You can't find it unless you somehow know the app, which I'd be concerned if you did somehow already. But I'll let you know whenever it exists. It probably exists, honestly, probably today. And once it exists, I'll put it in the description. So if y'all want to see my sports takes, you're welcome to follow me there. And it's going to be for just sports takes and sports, like, what's that word, blabbering, rambling, what I'm doing right now. We are 24 minutes into the video from my recording, and we are now moving on to pick 10. It's the Jets the Jets are going to be taking Jameson Williams, and if they don't take Jameson Williams, it's going to be the Jets. Sorry, it's going to be the 49ers taking Jameson Williams because the Jets might acquire Deebo Samuel. I kind of don't think it's going to happen anymore. I don't think there's going to be enough. I think the 49ers value him more than any other team does right now, especially with him not wanting to play running back anymore. So I feel like he's going to stay put. But the Jets have shown that they're willing to go pursue a big name wide receiver enough and trade too. But I think Tyreek Hill is a tier above Deebo and worth pursuing to different degrees. So I think the Jets are going to hold on to this pick. And I think it's going to be Jameson Williams. Moving on to pick 11. Well, he's coming off an injury, but arguably the best receiver, arguably the fastest receiver, arguably the best deep threat. Alabama receiver, good. Moving on to pick 10. I'm going to start doing that after each pick, so you all get like a little reward. So we get 2 quarterbacks to finish out the top 10. At pick 8 and 9, drafted by the Vikings and the Steelers respectively, not the teams that people would have expected. Moving on to pick 11, we have the Commanders. Now that they're in the receiver market as well, and I think they're going to take Garett Wilson, especially because they don't know what's going to happen with Terry McLaurin. It'll give them a little bit of leverage. And even he's another Ohio State receiver. They seem to be working out well, especially Terry McLaurin's an Ohio State receiver. So they're going to take Garett Wilson. He's one of the lower ceiling. One of the higher ceiling but lower. Higher floor and higher ceiling guys. High floor was what I was trying to focus on, but I couldn't get the words out. Moving on to pick 12, we have the former Vikings pick and now the Falcons pick, and the Falcons are looking at the board now, and the quarterbacks are gone that they were considering. So what are they going to do? All the premium positions are gone. They're going to take the best player available, and that's going to, other than safety, because they need edge help. They really do. Like, sure, they could stand to grab a safety and, Kyle Hamilton, or grab a tackle and Charles Cross. But Charles Cross, seems to be more like a left tackle than a right tackle. Sure, he can take reps at right, but you more so want to play him at left tackle. So I think the Falcons are going to go take an edged player that should fit their scheme very well with running a 3-4, and that's going to be Jermaine Johnson, the Florida State edge. I'm going to go back to I'm going to say the top 10 picks just real fast. First overall is Sauce Gardner to the Jets. Second overall is Aiden Hutchinson to the Lions. Third overall is Derek Stingley to the Texans. Fourth overall is the Jags taking Travon Walker. Fifth overall is the Seahawks taking Kayvon Thibodeau. Sixth overall is the Texans taking Evan Neal. Seventh overall is the Giants taking Ike Ekwonu. Eighth overall, the Vikings taking Kenny Pickett. Ninth overall, the Steelers taking Malik Willis, and 10th overall, the Jets taking Jameson Williams, and that would be Sauce Gardner, cornerback, Cincinnati; Aiden Hutchinson, defensive end, Michigan; Derek Stingley, cornerback, LSU; Travon Walker, defensive end, Georgia; Kayvon Thibodeau, defensive end, Oregon; Evan Neal, offensive tackle, Alabama; Ike Ekwonu, offensive tackle, North Carolina; Kenny Pickett, quarterback, Pitt; Pittsburgh taking Malik Willis, quarterback, from Liberty; and then Jameson Williams, a receiver, from Alabama. Continuing, Garett Wilson's a receiver from Ohio State, and Jermaine Johnson is a edge rusher from Florida State University. He's the Falcons' pick at 12. Moving on to pick 13, we have the Texans' former pick, now belonging to the Panthers. And the Panthers are counting their lucky stars right now. Like, sure, they missed out on the quarterback they wanted. They missed out on Mr. Kenneth Pickett. They missed out on him, so they're probably like a little bit upset, a little bit angry. But at the same time, like, it's probably like, wow, it's probably a good thing we didn't draft that guy, because they have a tackle available that they probably should take at 6 anyway. That's Charles Cross. Charles Cross is here. So they're going to take him and immediately put him at left tackle. and solve the left tackle issue they've had for quite some time now. They have 2 bookend tackles. And that should give Sam Darnold enough reason or enough time to show if he's decent or if he's awful. And then they can address the situation from there, and then not have too many ships in a dock. And then you can find out if he's good or not, and then if not, then boom, you got a left tackle there. That's good for even run, right? You can multiple things, words. Moving on to pick 14, we have the Ravens here, and the Ravens are gonna get a call. The Ravens are no strangers to trade backs, so of course they're gonna answer the phone call and see who's on the other line and what they're offering. And it's gonna be a senile old man trying his damnedest to get a Super Bowl before he dies, and that is going to be Jerry Jones, and he is going to be saying, hey, I gotta get up there. I gotta get up to pick 14 right now. There's a guy right there I need him. I understand y'all are interested in him as well, because y'all the Ravens, y'all prioritize safeties. We need to get up there right now. We need that man. We need him. He might be trying to trade up for Kayvon Thibodeau, Jermaine Johnson, or even Charles Cross, like one of the tackles available. But in this scenario, the player that's left is a guy that's on a lot of people's big board as their number 1. That's Kyle Hamilton, the safety from Notre Dame. By the way, Charles Cross is a tackle from Texas A&M. I forgot to mention that. Kyle Hamilton, the safety from Notre Dame, is going to be picked by the Cowboys here after they trade up from pick 24 to pick 14. So they trade up 10 slots to take Kyle Hamilton at 14. That's my pick. That's the pick. That's what they're doing. They have a closing window. They have Jerry Jones, and they kind of hit it with their pick last year of Micah Parsons, and they've made it clear. Well, they've made it publicly clear. I don't know if that's clear, or it's smoke screen, but they've made it public that they are willing and wanting to trade up. Now, a player that I considered having the Cowboys draft with this trade up was not Kyle Hamilton, but Drake London. Wide receiver from USC. And now I don't have him going to the Cowboys, but I have him going to the Eagles at 15 with the next pick. So the Eagles are taking Drake London at pick 15. Slot guy who's 6'5", so he should be able to move outside and be fine. They need receivers. Sure, like, do they go receiver again? They shouldn't, but there's rumors that they're interested in Jameson Williams at 15, but I don't think he lasts to 15, so I don't know what exactly they're doing there. It's possible that they're trying to make Drake London's value go down make him drop by making Jameson Williams' value higher or something. I don't know, but Drake London's there, and I feel like they're gonna take him at 15 and move so that way the Saints can't draft him, or because the Saints pick after them, and I feel like the Saints are taking a tackle and wide receiver, and I feel like a lot of teams know that, and especially the Eagles. So the Eagles are going to take a wide receiver before the Saints can, and in response to that, the Saints are going to take the best tackle available in their opinion, whoever that may be. In my opinion, I think they're going to take Trevor Penning, and it's honestly going to be whatever the best left tackle available is. If it's Charles Cross, they're going to be sprinting to the podium. Honestly, if Charles Cross gets to pick 14 and the Ravens don't take him, the Saints are probably going to be trying to trade up from 16 to 14, so that's just 2 picks to take the guy. But they don't do that. They take Trevor Penning here at pick 16. And moving on to pick 17, this pick might be wrong. I say as I've gone through half the drafts and been like, oh yeah, that's 100% happening. This one I'm not fully confident in anymore, but I'm sticking by it because and I'll tell you the reason why. The reason why I wasn't certain in it is because this is the Chargers trading back with the Packers, who are trading up. The Packers apparently are in rumors to acquire Mr. Darren Waller. Darren Waller is a Raider tight end who's approaching the end of his contract, so that means he's going to become a free agent because they can't pay him because they just paid a superstar wide receiver. So and they happen to be needing a first and a second round pick, as far as I know. So the Packers trade a second or first, whatever, probably first, back to the Raiders for him. I'm gonna require that. Or I think they might not acquire him. if they do acquire him, they obviously don't trade up because they probably don't have this pick, or at least they don't have the other one. But let's just go with the existence that they don't acquire Darren Waller and they keep both their first round picks. That's a lot to assume. There's a lot of assuming going on. It's a whole lot of assuming. It is stipulation situations, and in situations depending on other situations. It is a whole clusterfuck of just potential and value and bartering, negotiation, even like lying. I'm sure the NFL draft is a wonderfully chaotic and beautiful thing. And that being said, the Packers are going to trade up to pick 17 to get ahead of the Saints and get ahead of the Eagles' second pick. And they're going to take a wide receiver. And they also know that this is a volatile spot to trade up, potentially by the Cardinals, Bills, Titans. No, so they're going to go ahead and try and get ahead of that. Move up 5 spots. Take a receiver they really like, and that's Chris Olave. They could wait. They could take a more dominant guy and like Pickens, Watson, but I feel like what just worked with Devontae Adams was the fact that he was a phenomenal and the best route runner in the league. Why not draft a phenomenal route runner who's got some speed like Devontae? Oh, that's Chris Olave, Ohio State receiver. Sure, he's not the number 1 Ohio State receiver, but take him. I feel like they're going to take Chris Olave at pick 17. Any receiver works for Darren Rodgers, honestly, but I figured I figured a route runner should be the one that helps him the most, given Devontae Adams. Moving on to pick 18, the Eagles have their second pick of the first round, and they are going to be taking Devin Lloyd, the linebacker. I feel like it's fairly obvious that they have a weakness at linebacker when they have just about talent at almost every other position on defense and also offense. Like, they're a talented team. Like, they could use a receiver. They only need a line help. They could use a quarterback and maybe running back, and that's only saying that they're both not superstars. They're both good players. And then you look at defense, they've got a good secondary, not a phenomenal one, but a very good secondary that could stand to be upgraded with like a corner maybe, and they've got a really good D-line that could stand to be upgraded with maybe a D-lineman, and they got a linebacker group that definitely needs upgrades, so they're probably going to take either the best player available on defense and whichever one that's going to be. Oh, and it's likely going to be Devin Lloyd because he's probably going to be the best player, the highest position rank of a player available, because no one's taken any linebackers yet. They're gonna go snag him at pick 18, fill in that weakness. Move on to pick 19. We have the New Orleans Saints, and they were probably hoping for Olave, but they're like, whatever. We'll just take the athletic freak, one of the athletic freaks that you can do a bunch of things with, because that's what the Saints like to do. I don't know if that's gonna continue with Dennis Allen being the head coach and Sean Payton not being the one calling the shots, but we'll see. Why not? Why would I think that they should change their scouting and team building approach when they haven't really shifted teams? They just shifted the new head coach. It's not a regime change; it's a different head coach. Treylon Burks is going to be their pick, the wide receiver from Arkansas. I considered having him be the pick at 14 for the Cowboys after they traded up as well. But they can only take one guy, and I figured Jerry Jones is going to either be super splash and go for the receiver, or he's going to be for splash and try and focus on building his defense. Because I think he's realized that his defense is the better part of his team, because Dak is very good, but he's not the most consistent. And Zeke is not who you need on that team, but they have not realized that. I don't know if they ever will. That's not important. Treylon Burks to the Saints at pick 19. Moving on to pick 20, we have the Steelers, who traded the pick back to the Giants after the Giants traded back with the Seahawks and then back with the Steelers, so the Steelers could take Malik Willis. So the Giants at pick 20 are looking at the board, and they didn't. The reason they traded back with at pick 9 is because there's nothing else on the board that they really liked. Like they probably were wanting Stingley. They probably were wanting Stingley's already gone. They probably were wanting Tibbs, and Tibbs went earlier. They got their tackle they want, but like I said, the more I think about it, it's very possible the Giants don't get enough, and they take Tibbs at 5, and then take a tackle at 7, and just be like, all right, this is fine, and don't need any sort of trade back value, and just take a potentially phenomenal player on the D line, a potentially phenomenal player on the O line. It's very possible to do, but like in the scenario that has played out in this case, the Seahawks have offered enough to trade up and take Tibbs. And when they are at 9, they're looking at their board, and there's not quite anything they're salivating over. They're probably thinking about a receiver real hard because they are shopping Kadarius Toney and they are shopping Darius Slayton. That's 2 of the receivers. They probably are in the market for a receiver then. So they're probably considering a receiver at 9 at this case, and they're probably also considering a corner, but a receiver would probably make more sense. But then they get a call from the Steelers. So they trade back to 20, and now they're at perfect receiver range. And they could take a receiver. Or they could take a defender and a cornerback. They don't know what's going on with Bradbury, and the Bills are a team that has been built by their secondary being phenomenal always as well. So I feel like they're going to take Trent McDuffie here at pick 20. The Giants take Trent McDuffie at pick 20, the Washington cornerback. Traylon Burks was recapping the next 10 picks. We have the Commanders taking Garett Wilson at pick 11, the wide receiver from Ohio State University. We have the Falcons taking Jermaine Johnson at 12, the edge rusher from FSU. We have the Panthers taking Charles Cross at pick 13, the tackle from Texas A&M. We have the Cowboys taking Kyle Hamilton at pick 14, the safety from Notre Dame. We have the Eagles taking Drake London at pick 15, and that's the receiver from USC. We have the Saints taking Trevor Panning, the tackle from Northwest Iowa, maybe? Something like that. Forgive me, Trevor Panning and his school and everyone watching for my ignorance. And then we have the Packers taking Chris Olave, the wide receiver from Ohio State, also at pick 17. And we have the Eagles taking Devin Lloyd at 18, the linebacker from Utah. We have the Saints taking Traylon Burks at pick 19, the wide receiver from Arkansas. The Giants taking Trent McDuffie, the cornerback from Washington. Moving on to pick 21, we have the Patriots trading back with the Buccaneers, the team that has a closing Super Bowl window. The Buccaneers are going to take Zion Johnson. The Buccaneers have a closing window. Tom Brady's leaving after the season. They almost guarantee it, so they need guard protection. They might as well build a team that's going to function without Tom Brady, and the guard helps that, especially after one just retired. Take the best guard in the draft. Why not? Why not make the best quarterback ever have more time in the pocket? Moving on to pick 22, we have the Chargers after trading back. They're going to take the guy who they can just stick in the middle of the defense and say, don't let him go in there. And stopping the run, and it should work, and that's going to be Jordan Davis, defensive tackle from... Zion Johnson is a guard from Boston College. Jordan Davis is the defensive tackle, the incredibly athletic, like 6'7", defensive, 400-pound defensive tackle, Jordan Davis. He can't really rush the passer, which is why he's gotten this far, into the 20s. But man, he can stop the run, and man, is he athletic. So he could develop in something special with rushing the passer as well. But he is a run stuffer at the moment right now, and that's it. So they're going to take Jordan Davis, the Georgia defensive tackle, at pick 22, and then the Cardinals are on the board next. The Cardinals are going to take Christian Watson, arguably the most athletically gifted receiver in the class, and almost definitely the most gifted receiver in the class here. He's probably top 10 in terms of athleticism of any player in the class in general. At least from what some people think. He's a receiver from North Dakota State University, so he's lower tier competition, but he does run block and does do some things well in route run. He did well at others like Senior Bowls and whatnot. Moving on to pick 24, we have the Ravens after trading back for the Cowboys, and the Ravens are going to be pretty happy here because they're going to take defensive end George Karlaftis, and it's going to be from Purdue. He just screams Raven. Jordan Davis also screams Raven, but there's only one of them is available in this scenario, and it's not Davis. They could go tackle here. They could go guard. Zion Johnson already went, so they probably won't be. So they can't go him in this scenario. They could go Linderbaum. They probably won't, based on what I've seen from the Ravens in terms of like how they've talked about that position and how they're going to approach it. But that could all be smokescreen. It could be Tyler Linderbaum here, but I think it's gonna be George Karlaftis, because they always love adding more depth to that D line. Moving on to pick 25, we have the Bills taking Andrew Booth. He's a corner from Clemson. He's good in the run game, and by good in the run game, I mean he's willing to tackle, and he's a good corner. Clemson produces some pretty good corners, it seems. Bills really could have used another corner in the playoff run last year they had. So I have them taking Andrew Booth here at pick 25. Moving on to pick 26, we have the Tennessee Titans. Now, considered having them trading back, and they very well might, but they needed someone that's willing to trade up, and it's possible that someone trades up to take a quarterback here, and it's also very possible the Titans take a quarterback here on their own. But I don't think they're going to do that. They could take a receiver. They could take even linebacker, or honestly, they have weaknesses, but O-line is probably the biggest. And why not take the best center available, and that's Tyler Linderbaum. He's arguably a top 10 talent, but you just don't take a center top 10. So here is a pick 26 going to the Titans. Tyler Linderbaum, the center from Iowa. And Iowa only produces good offensive linemen and tight ends. Moving on to pick 27, we had the former Buccaneers pick, which is now the Patriots pick, and they are going to be taking Nakobe Dean, a linebacker from, Georgia. I had a burp I was fighting. Nakobe Dean, a linebacker from Georgia. He's very smart. He's going to be able to understand Belichick. He's going to be able to have Belichick be. He's going to be able to be Belichick's mouthpiece for the defense. I feel like with the lack of prioritization Belichick has done to the secondary this past, at least the cornerback position, that he might not do it, and he might be shifting in terms of his, not a style, but in terms of what he prioritizes at the current moment. So he might shift from cornerback to linebacker back to how it used to be. But that being said, he could also just draft a corner. He could draft a cornerback here, but based on the talent that's available on there, it would be somebody like Daxton Hill, Petrie, but more than likely Daxton. Daxton Hill is a guy you can do slot corner and safety, but I don't think Bill would take a guy like that in the first round. I feel like Bill would take an edge corner, a boundary corner in the first round, and there's simply not one you want to take at 27 quite there. If Booth is still there, they could take Booth, McDuffie. They could take a lot of corners that they're at their original pick of 21. But in this scenario, they traded back, and most of those corners happen to go within the time frame. So they take a linebacker and Nakobe Dean. Moving on to pick 28, we have the Packers' second first-round pick, and it's going to be Devonta Wyatt, the other defensive tackle from Georgia. He's a pass rusher specialist. He's decent at stopping the run. Everyone on the Georgia D-line was incredibly talented, but man, could he rush the passer. He's a defensive tackle who could really penetrate. He might go higher than Davis, and he also might be the Packers' first-round pick. But I have him in this scenario being taken at pick 28 to the Packers. Devonta Wyatt, defensive tackle of Georgia. Moving on to pick 29, this is the first of the Chiefs' 2 picks. Now they are very, very, very likely to trade up in this first round. The reason I didn't have them doing so is because honestly I couldn't find them a worthy trade partner. If you go back to the first round, you can find the occasional one in the Ravens and the Falcons, but even that's a far drop back. They'd have to pay premium to move up. That'd be 15 positions. And the most logical spot to move up, in my opinion, would be to pick 17. moving back from 29 to 17. That's 12 picks. It's not unbearable, but however, the big hinge and the big holdup is the fact that it would have to be with the Chargers, and the Chargers are in the same division as the Chiefs, so I highly doubt that the Chargers are going to be in support of the Chiefs getting another alpha receiver. So they're probably going to say, no, you can stay at pick 29 and take whatever you get. And here they are staying at pick 29, and they're going to be taking a safety/corner, and it's not Daxton Hill. It's going to be Jalen Petrie. I believe he's from Baylor. Now it could very well end up being Daxton Hill. It could be, what's the other one's name? I forget the other one's name. There's a third one. But I feel like they'd probably go with Petrie here to try and replace Tyrann Mathieu, who left. He was a safety slot corner kind of hybrid. So there's a replacement for him, and now the replacement for Tyreek Hill. But obviously you can't quite replace Tyreek Hill, so you gotta kind of shift your beliefs. And they're gonna go with a boundary receiver that can just take balls and go up and get it, and be the guy who takes the possession ball, and just be athletically dominant potentially as well. Most of the big, huge potential guys that are also big are off the board, and Christian Watson and Treylon Burks, and what was the other one? I'm sorry, forgetting the other one. Jameson Williams is probably the guy they want the most. Drake London is also a guy that they could probably want, but I have them taking here George Pickens, the Georgia wide receiver, who would honestly, if he didn't tear his ACL a year and a half ago or something like that, he would be a top 15, top 20 pick easy. But now he's here at pick 30 for the Chiefs, who get the benefit again from a player getting injured, which he's going to be a very good player, very likely, or he could end up being a bust because he can't separate, but I feel like he's going to be just fine in the NFL. As long as he doesn't rely too much on his positioning in his body, he should be fine. Moving on to pick 31, I originally had the Bengals taking Lewis Cine, another Georgia product, as well as George Pickens, but the safety. He's very fast, and he's a very sure tackler, and he had a very, very good combine, which usually pushes you closer to getting into the first round. Now, which is weird, there's like 4 fringe safeties in Daxton Hill, Petrie, the other guy who I'm forgetting, and then Cine. And like I said, there's another guy I'm forgetting. Any of those could go here, but there happen to be 2 more left. And I happen to think that there's a few teams that might want to get into pick 31 to either take a receiver, a corner, or a quarterback. Those 3 positions are very valuable right now. It makes sense to get a 5th-year option on that guy. So teams are going to want to trade up to that back end of the first round. The back end of the first round is historically historically a popular spot for quarterbacks to go. And this year makes a whole lot of sense. So I feel like at pick 31, the Bengals are going to trade back with the Atlanta Falcons, moving back 12 spots to pick 43. And the Falcons are going to trade up from 43 to pick 31 and take quarterback Desmond Ridder. Quarterback from Cincinnati. They haven't had a meeting with him, but he is the exact kind of thing you expect from a Arthur Smith quarterback. He's athletic. He has a decent arm. He reads defense as well. And he should be able to do the things you ask, and that includes read a defense. He just seems like an Arthur Smith quarterback. So I think they're gonna, if he gets to like a checkpoint. I think a lot of teams have these quarterbacks at like a certain mark. That like if he gets to this mark, we're trading up to get him. And I think Desmond Ridder's a guy like that for a decent amount of teams. And I just have the Falcons being the team that trades up to get him. In this scenario, it could be the Seahawks. Especially if they don't get Pickett, it could definitely be the Seahawks. Could definitely be the Seahawks. Yeah, I almost want to make the Seahawks now, but I'm going to say it's true with the Falcons. It's the Falcons taking Desmond Ridder at pick 31 after trading with the Bengals, and then moving on to the last pick of the first round, and then I'll give like a little brief finish thank you talk, and then like a little talk about the top 10 as well. But last pick of the first round, the last pick of this mock draft, because I consider doing the second round, but as you can see, we're almost an hour into the video, and me doing another 32 picks is not gonna be good content. It's just gonna be me either speeding through it or me rambling for another hour. Which, thank you again for watching. I love you. Truly. So moving ahead to pick 32, we have the Lions with their second first round pick, and they picked at pick 2. So now they're pick 2 and pick 32. And it's a good spot for a quarterback, like I said. So they need a quarterback. They have one on the roster currently, and Mr. Jared Goff, but he's likely not going to be on there for too much longer. So I have them taking a quarterback here. I think it could be Carson Strong. I really think it could be Carson Strong. Like I have an intuition, like it's like saying it's Carson Strong. He wants an old school guy. He doesn't want mobile. He wants an old school slinging quarterback, and that's Carson Strong. And that's why I want to pick Carson Strong here. But I didn't write Carson Strong. Now why? Who did I write down? I wrote down Mr. Matt Corral. Because I'm going to lower the volume here. Excuse me. I wrote down Mr. Matt Corral here because of all the players that are visiting the NFL draft, that are attending the NFL drafts, that are going to be there the night of the draft, and find out which team picks you to play for their team. Matt Corral is on that list. Which means Matt Corral is going to have one of two things. Excuse me, just 1 second. Matt Corral is going to have one of two things happen. He's going to be the next Smith, and he's going to fall past this into the second round, and he's going to be have the cameras on him, watching his reaction to him realizing he's falling, which is going to be unfortunate, and I can't want that. But I also can't really want him to be drafted by a team that I want to succeed, because I don't think he's going to be a good quarterback. But I'm rooting for his success, because I'm rooting for everyone's success. I have them taking Matt Corral at pick 32 because he is attending the draft, and I feel like this man wouldn't be ballsy enough to just attend the draft as like a fringe, like third best quarterback without knowing something. So I feel like he has been told by the Lions, hey, we like you at 32. If you're there, we're taking you. If somebody else takes you above there, we're not going out for you. But if you're there at 32, you're ours. So I feel like they've told him that, so it's why I have them taking him at 32. Moving on. Sorry, that's it. That's all of it. That's all 32 picks for the first round. Thank you all so much for being here. I love you all. You're wonderful creatures. If you've gone this far listening to my video and you're not asleep yet, you should probably go to sleep. You should probably go to sleep like very soon. Like right now. Go to sleep right now. Go to sleep right now. Click on another one of my videos first and then go to sleep. But go to sleep right now. Now, if you hear that jingling in the distance, don't pay attention to that. It's not real. It's all in your head. It's all in your head. So speaking of all in your head, the first round is the top 10 has a bunch of stuff that could happen. Like if Sauce goes like I said, if he goes early, then so will Stingley. Stingley goes early, so will Sauce. If Hutch and Walker goes early, or if two of the defensive ends go early, so will the other one. If one of the tackles goes early, so will the other one. They're going to be like stacked to each other. Hopefully, it's not going to be like a big space between the two of them. We're like alternating. It should be like pick, or like very close to. I have a video where I talk about potential trades. Please click on that if you are interested. It's a lot of rambling as well. It's like 24 minutes, something like that. Maybe probably longer, maybe 28. I don't know. I know I'm rambling about that. I can't wait to see which of these picks are wrong, which of these picks are right. It's gonna be a fun draft night. It's gonna be a weird draft night. I'm excited. it's upon us now. This is we are in full-fledged smokescreen season. So enjoy, ladies and gentlemen. We are here. Also, ladies and gentlemen, and then I love you all. Thank you all for being here. Good night. I need to go to sleep. Sweet dreams. Happy draft season.